Some believe Ferrari is rebuilding, others believe Ferrari is losing its way. And among the latter is Bernie Ecclestone, who has harshly attacked Hamilton. In today's video, we will look at his statements about the 7-time world champion. We also need to talk about the World Championship battle, because Sergio Perez has spoken about his former teammate. Let's see how engine penalties could affect the championship battle and how teams are preparing for the Grand Prix in Brazil. And finally, let's take a brief look at the driver market, because Leclerc or Piastri might change teams. Before we begin, please remember to leave a supportive like, and now let's see everything in detail. According to Bernie Ecclestone, the problem is clear. Ferrari will not win until it has a dictator at the helm again. Yes, a dictator, not a manager, not a shared leader, but someone who truly commands. These are strong words, but knowing Ecclestone, they are not surprising. The former Formula 1 boss, in an interview, spoke candidly about the situation in Maranello, directly pointing the finger at Frédéric Vasseur. Ferrari needs a dictator at the top to be successful. There, they don't speak Italian, they speak Ferrari. Everyone in Italy has a say and interferes, deciding what is right and wrong. Vasseur is too weak and not a dictator. It's a direct attack that touches the heart of the problem that many fans have been denouncing for months, the lack of a clear direction. Because, yes, it's true, 2025 wasn't a year to discard. Ferrari is still second in the Constructors' Championship, but reaching the 21st race of the season without a single win, with just one pole position, is hard to swallow. In Maranello, they know well that the goal is now only to defend that second place behind McLaren. But for Ecclestone, this is not enough. According to him, authority, decision, and a singular vision are needed. Not someone who listens to everyone and then makes compromises. But that's not all. Ecclestone has found a way to strike at Lewis Hamilton as well, and he did it with the same bluntness. It's all slipping out of his hands, he declared. He wanted to become world champion and is now surprised he can't do it. Certainly one of the best of the last decade, but not the best. The relationship with Ferrari is merely a financial marketing project. I believe he will focus on fashion in his future. Very heavy words. Essentially, Ecclestone reduces Hamilton's arrival at Ferrari to an image operation, not a sporting choice. A way to sell, to attract sponsors, to build a global icon, but not to win. It's a cynical view, but one that many, at least in part, share because the results so far seem to support it. No victories, plenty of media exposure, but little substance on the track. The question is inevitable. Is Ecclestone right? Do you think someone with more authority is needed at Ferrari to bring it to success? Or is it just nostalgia for the past, when Ferrari dominated like in the days of Jean Todt and Montezemolo? The truth, as always, lies somewhere in between. Vasseur has brought stability, order, and a calmer working environment after years of chaos. But maybe in a team like Ferrari, diplomacy is not enough. Maybe what's needed is still someone capable of imposing their vision, even at the cost of being unpopular. Meanwhile, as the season comes to a close, the feeling is that Maranello is still searching for itself, and that 2026, with the regulatory changes and a Hamilton to rejuvenate, will be the true test. Because the time for excuses is over, and in Formula 1, as Ecclestone himself said, only one thing matters: winning. As usual, Ecclestone doesn't hold back and makes very strong statements against Ferrari. In my opinion, Formula 1 has changed significantly since Ecclestone's time, but he's right about one thing: Ferrari needs a very strong person, especially in terms of personality, who can change and impose their will. Christian Horner could have been the right reference for the red team, because he's a manager who, when given the team to lead, builds it around himself, while an ordinary manager, who might do well in other teams, risks sinking in Ferrari. 2026 will be the most important challenge for Ferrari, because there will be a change in regulations. It will be Hamilton's second year, and we will evaluate his performance on the track. Currently, the 64-point deficit to Leclerc weighs heavily in the standings, because you expect more from a 7-time world champion. There is a period of adaptation, and we are all aware of this. But this adaptation has also lasted quite a while, although now Hamilton seems to be stronger. In fact, in the last few races, we've seen him with the same pace as Leclerc. Certainly, Brazil will be a good testing ground to see Hamilton's improved performance in this second part of the season, and to evaluate him carefully. The fact is, I don't want to believe that Hamilton's move to Ferrari is merely a marketing operation. Certainly, that has influenced it, but there is also a sporting operation at its core. And Johnny Herbert has also weighed in on Lewis Hamilton and made some very heavy statements. It's become horrible to watch. And it's not a hater saying it, it's not a disappointed fan, but Johnny Herbert, former Formula 1 driver and FIA steward for years, someone who knows the paddock well and knows how brutal this category can be. According to Herbert, Hamilton's time at Ferrari is not just a difficult season, it's a drama that repeats every weekend. It's a saga that seems to have no end. Indeed, the numbers speak clearly. 0 podiums in 20 races, 64 points behind Leclerc, and a Ferrari SF25 that has never allowed him to show his true potential. A ruthless assessment for a 7-time world champion who came to Maranello to rewrite history. These were the initial statements. Let's remember, when the deal with Ferrari was announced, the idea was clear. Hamilton was supposed to be the spark capable of leading the prancing horse to victory, while Vasseur would ensure stability and continuity. But today the result is completely different. No victories, no pole positions for Hamilton, and a season that seems like a photocopy of the worst years at Mercedes. And the Mexico City race was yet another demonstration. Hamilton finally achieved the best qualifying of the year, third on the grid. It seemed like the right time to finally make it onto the podium in red. But after a good start, a 10-second penalty arrived for leaving the track and gaining an advantage in the duel with Verstappen. A mistake that ruined everything, leaving him off the podium once again. It's a sporting ordeal, declared Herbert, who didn't mince words and said, "It's an ongoing agony, it's horrible to watch." Charles is consistent. He always does his part, while Lewis continues to search for that spark that doesn't come. And this is a harsh judgment, but one that reflects reality. Because Leclerc, despite technical limitations, managed to maximize every opportunity, bringing 7 podiums to Ferrari. Hamilton, on the other hand, has always been one step behind, too often bogged down between difficult setups, questionable strategies, and an SF25 that changes behavior from one weekend to the next. Herbert still recognizes some positive signs. It's nice to see him fighting with Verstappen. There's still that hunger, that grit, but it's not enough. The car doesn't allow him to make a difference. And perhaps this is exactly the point. Hamilton is still motivated, but the technical means aren't up to the driver's level. And when you're Lewis Hamilton, every defeat weighs twice as much. The hardest thing to accept, however, is the direct comparison with Leclerc. The Monegasque not only consistently beats him in races, but has turned Ferrari into his team. Everything revolves around him. Development, communication, and strategy. Hamilton, on the other hand, still seems like an outsider, a champion searching for identity within a team that isn't his. Herbert says it clearly. Until that first podium arrives, Lewis will always live in Leclerc's shadow. A heavy, almost symbolic shadow, that of the younger driver, faster on the single lap, more in tune with the engineers. Yet something is changing. In the last few weekends, Hamilton has shown improvement in qualifying, a sign that the internal work at Maranello is bearing small fruits. He himself, after the Mexican GP, said he feels more comfortable with the car, not enough to win, but at least to start rebuilding. However, a fundamental problem remains. Ferrari cannot afford another season like this. 2025 was supposed to be the year of rebirth, but it risks ending with a balance that feels like a mockery. And while Vasseur tries to maintain calm and continuity, the pressure on Hamilton grows because 2026 is around the corner. And with the new technical regulations, everyone will start from scratch. That will be the real opportunity to understand where this project was born to win, or if, as Ecclestone feared, it's just a big image operation. Ultimately, no one thought it would be easy, but seeing Lewis Hamilton, the record man, fighting for 4th place with a Ferrari that doesn't take off is a scene that hurts anyone who loves Formula 1. Herbert is right about one thing. It's horrible to watch because it's not just a champion struggling. It's a legend discovering how long the road can be to return to the top. And now everything depends on 2026. If Hamilton manages to succeed, this will be just the hardest part of his rebirth. But if next year goes like this, then we might witness the end of his career. I believe in Hamilton's rebirth in 2026. It must be his year, and he must show everyone that this regulatory era, the one of ground effect cars, was not his. Even at Mercedes, he struggled a lot in comparison with Russell, and he's doing it now in comparison with Leclerc. Hamilton was comfortable with cars that developed aerodynamic load differently. Then there was the blow of 2021. Let's not forget it, with a world championship stolen from Lewis Hamilton, because the 8th title was his. So we'll see if in 2026 he'll be able to silence everyone. The fact is that as of today, there are many criticisms, both from former drivers like Johnny Herbert and former Formula 1 owners like Bernie Ecclestone. We'll see how the 7-time world champion will react. Having said that, we need to hear Sergio Perez's words on the current world championship fight because he has been outspoken. In fact, the 2025 championship seemed closed. McLaren ahead, Norris in control, Piastri on his heels, and Red Bull struggling. Instead, Max Verstappen has returned. 4 races from the end. The 4-time world champion is back. Only 36 points behind the world championship leader, and the comeback seems more alive than ever. A recovery that, until a few weeks ago, seemed impossible, but now makes walking tremble. Because, as Perez said, and he knows Max better than anyone else, with McLaren playing around a bit, Verstappen has a real chance to win, he declared. And he deserves it more than anyone because he's driving phenomenally. These are heavy words because when even your former teammate, who has never been too kind to you in the past, recognizes your superiority, it means the feeling in the paddock is clear. Verstappen is once again the favorite. After a difficult start to the season, with mistakes, balance problems, and a less dominant Red Bull compared to the past, Verstappen has begun to do what he does best, rebuild step by step until he's back in the spotlight. And he did it in his silent, methodical, and lethal style. In the last few Grands Prix, while McLaren argued over who was the real number one between Norris and Piastri, Max has gathered heavy points, constant podiums, and speed increasingly close to his best days. It only took a little, a divided McLaren and an effective Red Bull, to completely reopen the World Championship battle. In Woking, the situation is anything but clear. After Norris's victory in Mexico, the two drivers are separated by just 1 point in the standings. A perfect but dangerous balance. McLaren has chosen not to give team orders, to let Norris and Piastri freely compete for the title. It's a bold choice, but one that could be very costly, because while they're taking points off each other, Verstappen is there ready to strike. And Perez said it bluntly. Max has been the action of the year, the one who keeps Formula 1 alive. McLaren is getting a bit tangled up and he could take advantage of it. A statement that perfectly sums up the feeling in the paddock. McLaren is squandering an advantage that seemed unassailable. Max doesn't talk much, but he communicates everything through his performances. In Mexico, he finished third with a perfect one-stop strategy. But at the end of the race, his tone was surprisingly realistic. I lost 10 points to Lando. Everything has to go perfectly to win. This weekend didn't go perfectly. So the answer is there. A typical Verstappen phrase, direct, concise, and without illusions. He knows he has no more margin for error, but also that the pressure is now all on the others. Because when Verstappen smells blood, the championship changes pace. And with 4 races and 2 sprint races still to go, there are potentially 60 points up for grabs. And if anyone knows how to handle the pressure, it's him. It's interesting to note how Verstappen, even in the toughest moments of this season, has never lost control. He didn't blame the team, didn't look for excuses, he simply kept working, adapting to a car he initially didn't like, and turning it, as he always does, into a title weapon. McLaren, on the other hand, has gotten caught up in internal games. Norris and Piastri both want to be the face of the future, but this creates an unstable balance, and Perez has realized this. Max has kept the season alive, he's the one who turned an expected championship into a spectacle. And he was right. Now there are 4 weekends to decide everything. Brazil, Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. Different tracks, different conditions, but a clear common thread. Red Bull is back to being competitive, not unbeatable like in 2023, but finally stable. And with Verstappen in full hunt mode, every small mistake by McLaren can become fatal. Max himself, even aware of the difficulties, knows that history is on his side. It already happened in 2021, when he overturned a championship on the last lap. And now, with the calmness of someone who knows how to win, he's just waiting for Norris and Piastri to trap themselves. If he succeeds, this title will be one of the most incredible of his career. Not the most dominant, but the most human, achieved through consistency, clarity, and a true champion's mentality. And in the end, as Perez said, Max is the driver who deserves this championship the most. And maybe he's right. And when talking about a championship dragged to the very end, we must not exclude the issue of penalties. Because yes, it's important to think about race strategies, but also pay attention to the engines and power units, because they risk becoming the real protagonists of the championship, as the various grid penalties will affect the standings. We have reached the point where teams have almost exhausted their supply of components. In fact, each driver can only use a limited number of engine parts before incurring penalties. Every time a driver exceeds one of these limits, a penalty is triggered. 10 positions the first time and 5 subsequently. And if it exceeds 15 positions, it starts directly from the back. It's a system that usually affects those with reliability issues or accidents, but at the end of the season, even the top teams start to tremble, and this year the risk involves the 3 main contenders of the championship: Norris, Piastri, and Verstappen. Lando Norris is the most exposed. After the retirement in Zandvoort, Netherlands, where an oil line issue knocked out his McLaren, it became clear that something was off, even in the engine rotation. It has never been officially confirmed, but several sources in the paddock speak of a component already at its limit. If McLaren were to install a new component in the last 4 races, Norris would risk a heavy grid penalty. And with such a balanced championship, losing 10 positions at the start could cost you the title. It's the classic end-of-season risk. You want performance, you want power, but every additional kilometer becomes a gamble against reliability. But even Verstappen isn't sleeping soundly. In fact, the Red Bull RB21 has had a more aggressive engine management to chase McLaren, and now the bill might come due. Max has already used 7 of the 8 exhausts available, while Norris and Piastri are at 3. A detail perhaps, but with still 4 races remaining, it means Verstappen can no longer afford breakdowns. And Red Bull knows very well that a technical penalty at this point in the season could erase weeks of comeback. It's the perfect paradox. To make up ground on McLaren, Verstappen and his team have pushed to the maximum, but that very push now puts them at risk. Actually, the technical discussion is much deeper. Every component of the power unit has a life cycle planned at the beginning of the year, based on kilometers, mappings, and temperatures. But it only takes an accident, a breakdown, or even just a particularly hot weekend to burn out an element and the engine earlier than expected. And when this happens, you have no alternatives. Either you risk the failure on the track or you change and accept the penalty. Both options are devastating in a championship decided by a few points. Think about it. Verstappen is 36 points behind Norris. Just one race with an engine penalty is enough to completely flip the standings. That's why, in the coming weeks, we'll see a silent game behind the scenes. Who takes risks and who plays in advance? Some teams, in fact, prefer to sacrifice a race in an unfavorable circuit to introduce a fresh engine and have full power in the following weekends. It's a tactic we've seen in the past, and it might return right now between Brazil, Las Vegas, and Qatar. Red Bull, for example, could already do it at Interlagos, a track where overtaking is possible and the damage of starting from behind would be limited. McLaren, on the other hand, can't afford it. Right now, they just have to defend their advantage. In short, the 2025 season is in its final part, but none of the top teams are really sure about the components mounted on their power units. The Drivers' and Constructors' Championships could end up being decided not by an overtake or a pit strategy, but by a number printed on an ECU. And it would be a finale perfectly in line with this season. Unpredictable, tense, technical, and always on the edge of the regulations. Because at this point, it's not just about who is the fastest. It's about who will manage to reach the finish line with the engine still alive. And regarding engine penalties, McLaren has an advantage over Red Bull, which has optimized and better thermal management compared to the opponents. In fact, the secret of their strength is not in the wings, it's not in the management of aerodynamic load, but especially in the internal cooling of the power unit area. And we saw this very well in Mexico at an altitude of 2,200 meters. McLaren ran with the engine cover area closed, without needing extra openings, and therefore without suffering extra drag on the straight, unlike Ferrari, Red Bull, and even Mercedes. This allowed them to maintain stability and extra speed on the straight, even though they are not the fastest in terms of top speed. Andreas Seidel has already confirmed, in the past, we completely revised the cooling system. This is what he declared. The entire layout has been made more efficient, so we can race with tighter configurations even in extreme conditions. It's a gain of 1,000 seconds that becomes substantial, and this gain could allow the Woking team to avoid grid penalties, especially when we talk about Piastri, because Norris is at the limit after the retirement in the Netherlands, and this could be an advantage for Piastri. Norris, however, encountered retirement in the Netherlands, and therefore is more at the limit with the engine components. Certainly the carbon baskets, the management of the air ducts within the brakes, and the cooling of the power unit are elements in favor of McLaren, which also reduce the heat on the rear tires and also affect possible penalties received on the grid, which they want to try to avoid. Last thing, let's look at the statements of Ralf Schumacher and Desmos Hill, who talk about the driver market, particularly Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc. Aston Martin is hunting for a top driver. Piastri and Leclerc are two serious candidates. This is what Ralf Schumacher said. Lawrence Stroll's team has invested huge amounts in recent years. The new factory, the latest generation simulator, technicians from Red Bull and Mercedes, the arrival of Adrian Newey. Yet the results have not met expectation. Fernando Alonso performed miracles in 2023 and 2024. He has driven very well this year too. He'll be there next year too, but Fernando Alonso can't continue forever. And so the paddock rumors are clear. Aston Martin is looking for a new driver from 2027 onwards. Piastri could be an option because the situation at McLaren has become tense for months after the internal rivalry with Norris, which exploded after Monza. There have been contacts with other teams, including Aston Martin. Piastri has gone from dominating the championship to experiencing a psychological collapse, which, as Desmosen explained, he has lost mental lightness, started feeling the weight of the title. And the trust within the team is no longer what it was at the beginning of the season. Ralf Schumacher expressed himself like this: if a driver loses trust in the team or vice versa, it's a clear sign that there will be consequences. I have the impression that Piastri is paying for what has happened recently. And if Piastri were to lose the championship, well, he might also consider changing teams and leaving McLaren. And pay attention to Leclerc too, because if Ferrari's project doesn't deliver concrete results in the short term, then the balance between Leclerc and Maranello might break, despite Leclerc's love for Ferrari. Well, the Monegasque driver wants to win. His manager Nicolas Todt has also confirmed it. So be careful, because from 2027 onwards, a call from Aston Martin could become much more than just a rumor. Also because Aston Martin's technical project is ambitious, to return to fighting for victory and also for the title. To do so, a driver is needed who can inherit Fernando Alonso's legacy and therefore guide development, motivate engineers, and push the car to its limits. Lance Stroll is part of the team, but he can never be a lead driver. So at Aston Martin, they are looking for guidance and secure leadership, which they could find in Piastri or Leclerc. Let me know your opinion on all the topics we've covered in the video. From Ecclestone's statements against Ferrari and Hamilton, Perez's statements on the championship, the grid penalty issue regarding engine changes, and also the internal fight at McLaren between Norris and Piastri, and the possibility of seeing Piastri or Leclerc at Aston Martin from 2027. I'm curious to read and respond to all your comments. As always, I remind you to leave a like, subscribe, and activate notifications so you don't miss any videos on the channel. That's all from Rasta. See you in the next video.